Imagine this. You see one shocking video online, and suddenly it feels like the whole world is dangerous. But is it really? Your brain just made a shortcut, a fast, automatic judgment based on what came to mind first, not what's actually true. This happens more often than you think. And the scary part? You usually don't even notice it happening. One image, one story, one headline can completely shape how you see reality. This is called the availability heuristic, and it quietly controls your decisions every single day. Let's say you're casually scrolling your phone, just relaxing, not thinking too much about anything serious. Then suddenly, you see a dramatic story. Something shocking, emotional, maybe even a little scary. That one story sticks in your mind. It's vivid, it's intense, and your brain holds onto it tightly. Now, without realizing it, you start seeing the world differently. You feel like that situation is everywhere. Even if it's actually rare, your brain treats it like it's common because it's easy to remember. You walk outside and suddenly everything feels a little more dangerous than before. You talk to friends, and that same story keeps coming up in your mind again and again. You start feeling anxious, even though nothing around you has actually changed. Your perception shifts, not based on facts, but based on what feels most real in your memory. And that's the problem. Your brain confuses what's memorable with what's likely. The availability heuristic is a mental shortcut your brain uses to make quick decisions. Instead of analyzing all the data, your brain asks one simple question. How easily can I think of this? If something comes to mind quickly, your brain assumes it must be important or common. But here's the catch. Easy to remember does not mean it happens often. It just means it made a strong impression on you. Your brain loves vivid stories. Emotional, dramatic, surprising events stick much better than boring facts. That's why a shocking video feels more real than a quiet statistic on a chart. Even if the data tells a completely different story, your brain trusts what it remembers most. So you make decisions based on what's available in your memory, not what's accurate, and you don't even realize you're doing it. Think about the last time you made a quick judgment. What popped into your mind first? Chances are it wasn't data. It was a story, an image, or a recent experience. Your brain uses that as evidence, even if it's just one example. This is how small experiences can feel like big patterns, and suddenly your perception of reality becomes slightly distorted. Now imagine this happening constantly through news, social media, and conversations. The same types of stories repeat over and over, making them feel even more common. Your brain starts to believe this is the normal state of the world. You become more cautious, more anxious, sometimes even irrationally afraid, all because of what's easiest to recall. You start overthinking simple decisions, imagining worst-case scenarios everywhere. You hesitate more. You trust your instincts, but your instincts are biased. And sometimes you make the wrong choice, based on incomplete information. Later, you regret it, but you still don't fully understand why it happened. So you keep consuming more content, reinforcing the same cycle. It becomes a loop. The more you see it, the more real it feels. The more real it feels, the more you believe it. And the more you believe it, the harder it is to question it, until your perception is completely shaped by what's easiest to remember, not what's actually true. But then, something changes. You pause for a moment and start questioning your thoughts. You look at actual data, not just stories, and suddenly, things don't seem as extreme. You realize your brain was filling gaps with whatever came to mind first, and that realization is powerful because now you can see the bias. And once you see it, you can start to control it. Now, when something shocking appears, you don't react immediately. You take a step back and ask, is this common or just memorable? You start thinking more critically instead of relying on quick mental shortcuts, and your decisions become more balanced, more rational, more grounded. You feel calmer because you're no longer controlled by every vivid story. The world hasn't changed, but your understanding of it has. You trust facts more than feelings that come from isolated examples. You recognize when your brain is trying to trick you, and that awareness gives you an advantage most people don't have, because in the end, what comes to mind easily isn't always what matters most.